right, here we are back. This is Kurt Russell with Everything Penn State and the Open Mat with my partner in crime here for the last regular season podcast of the year. This is Tim Owen from Blue and White Illustrated. How's it going, Tim?
Good, Kurt. Glad to be back. Like you said, we got one match left and then it's postseason. Yeah,
and back in the day, you might be a little too young to remember this, but Pitt, Penn State in football was the rivalry. Everybody waited for it for all year round in the 70s and 80s. It was an awesome game to watch. Wrestling, it's never quite been the same, but it's kind of fitting, I think, right about now that in the year that there's been a coaching change in football and everything that's happened on the campus. It's kind of nice to see there's a traditional rivalry ending off the season for Penn State this year with Pitt being hosted at Rec Hall.
Yeah, it's already sold out. It sold out last week, so you're going to have a lot of Pitt fans as well as Penn State fans, obviously. But also, the Pittsburgh's roster is full of Pennsylvania kids. Penn State has a few Pennsylvania kids, obviously, as well. So they had some history going back, and it's definitely looks like it's going to be a pretty solid match. Pittsburgh could possibly pick up 3 wins here, maybe even 4 if you include an upset, but this could be a pretty exciting match given that it's an out of conference end of the season dual meet that really doesn't have a whole lot of bearing on conference standings. It still actually could shape up to be quite a close match.
Yeah, and after reviewing a lot of Pitt's year, they've only had 1 loss. Now, it was to Ohio State, and their schedule is obviously not a Big Ten schedule, but, they've had a pretty good year. They've beaten Lehigh. They've beaten Michigan. Granted, Michigan didn't have Kellen Russell in the lineup. I don't know if that really would have made a big difference, but coming into this Penn State match, as you and I looked, having both the Thomasette brothers injured since January is definitely kind of hurting them coming in here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to give Penn State I don't want to call them easy victories, but easier than they would have been with the Thomasite brothers in the lineup at 184 and 285. Quentin Wright, he probably wouldn't have had a problem with the younger Thomasite, but, he's going to have I believe he's a Vaughn's a senior. But he definitely should be able to handle Vaughn at 184, and then Cameron Wade is going to have a freshman in place of the heavier Thomasite. And Cameron should be able to pick up an easy victory there to end off his regular season of his senior year. It's actually going to be his last home dual meet at Rec Hall, along with Frank Molinaro there at 149. So, that might be a little bit bittersweet for these guys, and I'm sure they're going to want to cap the season off with a win, which, barring a major upset, they should be primed to do.
Now, the Thomasite brothers are from Ohio, so I got a couple buddies from Ohio. We're very proud of that fact, but without those guys in a lineup, this is virtually an all-WPIL lineup. The only guys, they don't have Taylor Naumans from Middleton, which is, District 3, and the substitute, the second-string kid at heavyweight Yonners from Brockway, that's District 9, I think, but everybody else is, save Shelton Mack from Meadville, it's District 10, but all these guys are District 7, so it's a homegrown bunch, and Penn State's got some kids, of course, like Nico, who are, and Martellotti are from Pittsburgh, so it's going to be, I think, definitely a fun rivalry for these guys to end up off. So we can start by looking off at the first match. We got Nico and Anthony Zanetta going off there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. One I'm looking forward to. Zanetta, ranked 15th in the country. He only has 3 losses on the season, and he's 2-time national qualifier. So this is going to be a big win for Nico if he's able to pull it off. This is one of the matches, though, that I do have circled as the possible upset for Pittsburgh. I think Megaludis is fully capable of handling Anthony, but Zanetta definitely has experience. I believe he's a junior. Like I said, he's been to the national tournament a couple times. So he's been around the block. But they're both Pittsburgh boys. I don't know for sure offhand if they've wrestled before in the past, but I'm sure they're familiar with each other. And Nico's really going to have to go out there and wrestle perhaps the best that he has all season in order to, avoid the upset here from Zanetta. If Zanetta is able to go out there and, pull off 1, 2 or 2-point victory and give Pitt a 3-point lead going into the 133-pound bow, that's going to be quite a boost for Pitt, an early boost. But Mac Lewis has been wrestling tough, and an upset possible, but unlikely.
Yeah, I would have to agree, though. Remember, Zanetta, when he came out of high school, was multiple state champion, one of the highly recruited kids out of the country. Pitt felt really great in landing him. It was also about the same time that Shane Young came out of the same area and went to West Virginia, so there was a lot of kids in the lower weights who were great coming out of Pittsburgh. But just kind of looking at who else Anthony has wrestled during the course of the year, he's had some good, solid wins off of Bonanno of... actually, no, he lost to the kid from Hofstra, but he's beaten some of the same guys Nico has, but maybe not quite as in a dominating fashion. So I expect Nico to at least pick up the decision here.
Yeah, I think Nico you definitely have to favor him. Like I said, Zanetta has the experience on his side, and you can't ever underestimate a couple years of experience at the college level.
133, Shelton Mack out of Meadville going against Frank Martellotti.
Yeah, Martellotti is, as we mentioned last week, has been just struggling since he came back from his academic ineligibility last semester. And it's just still kind of confusing to me because Martellotti was such talent last year, 125, just stormed out to 18 straight wins. And now I feel like he's just kind of struggling to find his place here at 133. Now, Shelton Mack, if there's ever an opponent out there that Martellotti can get back on pace with, it's Shelton Mack. But I can't give Martellotti the edge here. Martellotti hasn't shown me what I need to see at 133 this year to really pick him over Mack going into the Sunday's match. So I'm going to go with Mack with a third decision. But like I said, this weekend is now or never for Martellotti. He's got to get a streak going into the postseason if Penn State wants any point scoring from him.
Yeah, he did. Mack lost to Rich Kiley by 2 points. Marty lost by 1 point. Martellotti got pinned by Stieber. Mack got majored by him, so there's a couple common opponents that we can look at. But yeah, this is, in front of the home crowd, Frank has really got to put together a match and give a good solid effort, at least get 3 points for Penn State there.
Yeah, and if he drops it, he's going to go below 500 for the second season. And that's something Martellotti really isn't going to want to have on his record. I'm sure he's not a kid who looks at numbers, but you also don't want to be the only guy on the talented roster that any Lions have, with a sub 500 record. So it's definitely a big match for Martellotti. It's not necessarily a whole lot of bearing on his constant standing or seating, but it's kind of a match that he needs for a morale boost, in my opinion, to really go into the postseason.
Most definitely. 141, we've got Brian Pearsall's been wrestling pretty tough. He's had a very tough schedule. The 141 weight in the Big Ten and nationally is just ridiculous. I think he's been holding his own compared to the pedigree he came out of in high school. He's definitely improved, I think, above that. Against Travis Schaefer, I think he has a good chance to pick up another win. Travis is out of Derry, which is the same high school as Jimmy Goulbon from who's a new recruit from Penn State. And looking at his record, Schaefer is 16-12 on the year and had some comparable losses that Brian has had during the year too. Like he lost to Hunter Stieber by 2 points, where Brian lost by 4.
Yeah, they do have the common opponents, but I think all that will go to the side for this match. I think they're going to, they're very even wrestlers from what I've seen from the both of them. I think I'm going to take Pearsall in it just because, like we've discussed before, Pearsall has just a drive in him that you don't see for many wrestlers, and that kind of overcompensates for maybe some of the physical tools that Pearsall lacked coming out of high school. So I think that drive and that mental edge that Pearsall has will help 141
Well, we have seen a lot during the year that Penn State has dropped the 33 and 41 matches and been down coming into 49 and then just go on a tear. So I think most Penn State fans are probably expecting something like that to maybe happen again.
Yeah, they're used to the 7 straight wins, sometimes 8 straight wins to pull off the victories. So they've done it before, and if they have to do it again Sunday, I'm sure they'll be ready.
149, Frank is definitely his last home duel at Penn State. He's going to have a tough match in Tyler Nauman, who's his record is 23 and 4 in the year. He doesn't have a lot of big impressive wins, but he's wrestled pretty solid all year.
Yeah, 2 of those losses are the same kid from Edinburgh. Nauman is someone who I think is a little bit underrated. I think some of that comes from his lack of competition, I guess you can call it, from the regular season. But he's someone who I think could, I think could really very easily become an All-American here this month. But it's also, I think, kind of exciting that Molinaro's going to have a caliber opponent like Nauman for his final dual meet match at Breck Hall for his career. So that might be a little bit of a sentimental moment for Penn State as they see Molinaro, who's been just the centerpiece for Penn State's roster for the last, basically, since he stepped on campus 5 years ago. That could be a little bit of a bittersweet opportunity for Penn State fans to see Molinaro break Tank Gorilla Hall wrestle his last match at Penn State. But if there's ever an opponent to go out on, it's Tyler Nauman. It's going to be a very good match. Should be Nauman definitely going to come out fighting, and should give fans a great match to not send Molinaro home with.
Yeah, I think again I'm going to be hoping for the bonus, but Frank will probably put in another good solid decision. I think it would be good for him psychologically to actually get the bonus on this, and maybe instead of trying to if he can't turn him early, then he's going to have to start cutting his guys loose in the second period and just trying to run the takedown clinic on him, which I hope he finally changes some of his strategy a bit in this match if he gets that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, he might. You never know with Frank. But yeah, he's definitely going to want to pick up at least the regular decision. Obviously Frank's always going for bonus points, and he's definitely going to want to use this match too, because there's a really good chance he's going to see Nauman again down in St. Louis. So it's definitely one for memory too.
157, Donnie Tasser against Dylan Alton. Donnie from Belle Vernon, right along the Monongahela River there. Kind of looking at some of the similar kids that he's wrestled during the year. Brandon Zirup lost by a point, but he got majored by Eric Hess. So I think even though he's got a record of 11-9, I'm sure with the rivalry Pennsylvania kids that Tasser might wrestle a little bit tougher. But I'm expecting Dylan to win this and maybe even get the major on this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, this is a match or an opponent that Dylan really needs to score bonus points with. We've seen last couple weeks that he's really been, fighting for the full 3 periods to pull out really close matches. And sometimes against opponents who, in my opinion, I feel like he could have scored bonus points. So this weekend he's going in against Tasser, and really has an opportunity to go out there and score at least 8 points, the differential, and put up a major decision. If he doesn't, that's going to I feel like it should cause a little bit of worry for Penn State fans for, how prepared Dylan is for going into the postseason. He obviously has shown that he can win the close matches, but now I think Penn State fans kind of want to see if he can go out there and lay it on, opponents that he is clearly better than. Go out there and lay on a couple takedowns, turn them once or twice, and pick up a major decision, if not a tech ball. That's just something we really haven't seen from Dylan too often this season, but it's something he's 100% capable of, and something that he might have to do in the postseason to, really get going.
Yeah, that's one of the things, obviously, that really propelled Penn State to the Big Ten title, the NCAA title, was all the bonus points they scored. So that's, I think, going to be a test for both Frank and for Dylan here. Going into 165, Tyler Wilp's younger brother Matt from Chartiers Valley and PA going against David Taylor. Kind of looking at what Tyler's done on the year, he's lost to a lot of kids that David is just whooped, as they say. So I really don't see this being much of a contest.
Yeah, that's the case kind of with almost all the opponents that David wrestles. You know, he's usually tech fault someone that beat the incoming opponent, and that's the case this weekend with this redshirt freshman. Yeah, just like basically every week that we talk, you basically have to go with the tech fall for David Taylor, just based on the law of probability. I think he's gonna definitely go out there and tech fall, if not pick up a pin.
Yeah, the only drama is trying to predict the time the tech fall will come. How about that?
Yeah, let's say 4:50.
Middle of the second period. Let's see, 174. Ed Ruth going against Ethan Headley. Headley's from Waynesboro. He's a fairly tough kid. He's 11-6 on the year, though. Again, I don't really see this being much of a contest for Ed. He just recently even lost to Ethan lost to Zirup.
Yeah, someone who obviously had
just dominated. So.
Yeah, I think this is almost the same type of thing with David. You just kind of have to take your time when Ed's going to throw in a cradle and turn. Unless this 174-pounder from Pitt really knows how to defend Ed's cradle, which no one really has shown this year. I expect this one to be a quick match, similar to 165. Penn State really could benefit from getting 10 to 12 points from these two weight classes.
Yeah, I don't know if Ed will get the fall. Kind of looking at the record, it looks that way. My feeling is that maybe Headley might wrestle a little bit tougher, but yeah, definitely a bonus is going to happen here. 184. Here's where Pitt is going to really be missing the Thomasette brothers. Andy Vaughn is wrestling, not ranked. He's got a winning record. He's from Pitt Central Catholic, same school Dan Marino went to. But looking at it, his record, he's lost to quite a few kids that again Quentin has beaten. So.
Yeah, this was kind of a match that I was hoping that Thomas Light would be healthy for. I mean, who knows? Maybe he will be. But from going by the past results, it doesn't look like Thomas Light will be out there. So, Wright will go against Vaughn. He shouldn't have a problem with him. Very well could pick up a pin here and get 3 matches with straight bonus points for all we know. But Wright definitely is. I feel like he's wrestling up to his feet right now. Something that been a concern last year this time, because if you remember last year, Quentin got pinned in the final duel, I call the season. So
right.
He's definitely gonna want to change those fortunes around and maybe end this season with a pin for himself rather than beating pins.
Yeah, he's definitely been on a tear, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he came up with there. But again, I'd at least expect the bonus out of that. Now, 197, I think, is pretty much going to be the featured bout to the evening. Number 4, Matt Wilps going against number 12, Morgan McIntosh.
Yeah, this is definitely my marquee matchup that I have listed, and it's definitely a match that Morgan McIntosh really needs to win. Like I said before, this match doesn't really have a whole lot of very, Big Ten standings and all that, but, this is a match just for morale boost that Morgan McIntosh needs to win going into the postseason. If memory serves me correctly, I don't think Morgan has beaten anyone this year who's been ranked ahead of him going into the match. And, this is how we're going into Sunday's match. Morgan, ranked 12, Wilkes number 4. It's just going to be a very big win for Morgan. I don't know how to pick this. From going by past results and from what I've seen of Wilkes and McIntosh, you almost in California that he's capable of beating anyone in the country, so it's just a matter of time.
Well, Wilps has had a pretty good year. He's 24-6. His only loss has been to Matt Powless by a point, and I think at the Southern Scuffle in the Consul semis, I think Morgan lost to by almost the same exact score. The only time that Wilps has really been dominated this year was by Chris Honeycutt from Edinburgh.
Honeycutt's been doing a lot of dominating this year.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by that. Interesting enough, Wilps does have 3 wins over Max Huntley from Michigan, and they've all been like 2 to 3 point losses. And Max was the guy that Matt Brown beat 3-1 a couple weeks ago. So this, I think, on paper is going to be pretty evenly matched, especially given its Rec Hall final dual meet, and you just know the Nittany Lion faithful there, all 6,500 of them are going to be pushing for Morgan to finally get a big win like this. So right now, though, again, I got to go probably with Wilps, maybe 1 or 2 points in a decision.
Yeah, that's what my prediction was. But like I said, not saying anything that McIntosh can't go out there and get the win because he's fully capable of it. Just from going by what we've seen so far this year, it's kind of hard not to pick Wilps. But we'll see. It's going to be a raucous crowd Sunday. Like you said, there's going to be a ton of Penn State fans, but also, you better believe there's going to be a lot of Pitt fans there, too, making the trip up with all these Pennsylvania boys on the Pitt roster. So it's going to be a real good atmosphere, and, who knows, if Pitt gets out to a 3-match lead, maybe this 197 match will have a lot of weight on it. We'll have to see.
Well, just the other thing is we kind of talked about before was beginning of the year. Well, last year I was bringing up Zach Thomasite and Matt Wilps were both at 197 at the Nittany Lion Open. Thomasite won that. Wilps ended up redshirting. And then now he's come back. In the beginning of the year, it looked like Thomasite was going to go heavyweight. 197, and Wilps was going to go back at heavyweight. And since the injury to Thomasite, Wilps has dropped back down to 197, thing for most of the year. Though it's interesting, we both noted that the last Hofstra mat, Wilps went up to heavyweight. So I still think there's, who knows, a chance that maybe the Thomasite brothers will make the trip. Maybe they'll wrestle. Maybe they're resting. Maybe Stottlemyre is going to rest them till the conference championships. But I don't think it's necessarily set that Wilps is going to wrestle 197 and what their lineup's going to be. So that's just an interesting side note for fans to pay attention to when this duel comes to fruition on Sunday.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Thomasite brothers are here. But right now I'm anticipating Wilps being at 97, but that also throws in another wrench into the logistics of this match. McIntosh is technically a 184-pounder. That's what his best weight would be right now at this time of his career, and he's going up against Wilps, who arguably might be a better heavyweight than a 97-pounder. So but it's going to be another interesting side note to watch. That you basically going to have 2 weight classes difference here at the 197-pound weight class, and I don't know if that'll help Morgan or go against him. We'll just have to see.
At 285, this doesn't look to be too much of a contest unless, like we said, Wilps or Thomasite or somebody a little better jumps up at heavyweight. But Pitt has Joel Yonner. His record is 6-18 on the year. He's a freshman from Brockway. Brockway is a single-A wrestling powerhouse up in District 9 up there. Penn State has had a couple kids over the years from Brockway, but it doesn't look like, looking on paper with his record, that if Cam doesn't come away with a fall or at least a major, I'd be surprised if it's anything less than that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the way Cameron Wade's been wrestling the last 2 weeks. Like I think we mentioned last week, Cameron Wade just finally wrestling at a consistent pace, pouring it on his opponents, being very aggressive, wrestling Cameron Wade's style, and if he continues that Sunday, even if they do send out Wilps or Thomasite, I think Cameron Wade gets the win. If it is against Vaughn, he'll probably pick up a pin or at least a major decision, like you said.
Yeah, so I mean, on paper it's looking like it's going to be just another. I mean, this has kind of been the average Penn State score here of late. Other than the Iowa and Minnesota matches. 30-6, 35-9. Those kind of. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Another kind of 30-point win here, barring any kind of Titanic-like disasters.
Basically, what I have. It's about. I think it was 39. I had written down. But like I said, there could be a possible upset here. Especially when you get into the emotions of a Penn State rivalry, you really can't bar too many things out. Obviously, Frank Molinaro is going to want to go out there and end his career on the right foot at Penn State, but you also got a kid like Tyler Nauman who's going to want to spoil that for Frank Molinaro. So it's going to be quite the match. There's going to be some good individual matchups, and who knows, this could end up coming down to the 197 or 285-pound bout if things fall in place for Pittsburgh.
Yes, that's true, but we both know that's just wishful thinking, don't we?
It could happen. Hey, I'm saying it.
Yeah, I know. We got to put a little drama in there. So you got to go to Media Day yesterday, and what was anything that happened, anything of note, or anything that of special interest you might want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, not a whole lot of groundbreaking news, Kurt. Morgan McIntosh is healing up nicely from that after aggravating his knee there. I believe that was at
Ohio State.
So he's back in, wrestling in the room every day. Like I said, Al's taking a new approach this right now at the end of the season where he's letting his 10 starters wrestle on their own each day rather than, showing up for a team practice. He's kind of letting them, get out of the grind of the regular season and just, free their minds from all the grinds that happen from wrestling and, hopefully just kind of start anew for the postseason. Other than that, Cal, nice things to say about Cam and Frank Molinaro as they depart their Penn State careers. If you want to read that, I actually have a news and notes from the Lorenzo Wrestling Complex up on Blue White Illustrated message boards right now. You want to check that out. It's actually got some, nice little things that Cal said about the seniors. And another interesting thing that Cal talked about was, possibly continuing this going out west for late season dual meet to help grow the sport. He actually even specifically mentioned possibly going out to wrestle Oregon State, Boise State, or Arizona State in the near future. He even mentioned a couple California schools, doing Stanford maybe, Cal Poly maybe. That's just something interesting to watch. I know, they enjoyed the trip out to Utah Valley. They packed a lot of fans in the stands there. The West Coast schools just kind of always struggle to put a lot of fans in the arena for dual meets, and obviously Penn State went out to Utah Valley, put a bunch of, I think, over 5,000 fans in their arena, and I think Cal kind of wants to continue that trend to other West Coast schools and continue to build the sport on the West Coast. Because Cal's a Utah guy, Morgan McIntosh is a California guy, Matt Brown's from Utah, so you have a lot of Western ties out there that would help grow the sport and keep the interest out there. So, that's something to keep an eye on in the near future for scheduling. And don't be surprised if you see a Stanford pop up on the schedule or Arizona State. I think it would be good for the sport, good for Penn State, to get out of the Big Ten a little bit and, kind of rub elbows with some of the West Coast schools, might have some different styles to offer. Just something new to keep the sport
Yeah, well, that's great. Great, you're going to be spending your St. Patrick's Day with a bunch of wrestling fans. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, it's crazy bunch.
And St. Louis is a really great venue just because, so many of the hotels and the bars and the restaurants are all within walking distance of the venues. So you can expect a lot of commingling of a lot of different wrestling fans out there. And then next week, we're going to have a break. So that means 2 weeks from now, we're going to get together and do the Big Ten preview. Of course, it's going to be heavily slanted towards the Penn State view, but we invite anybody else. We're going to try and cover all the weights and all the wrestlers on that. And just as a little plug here, if you guys get a chance, we're going to be doing a live blog on Tom on Sunday. Please always visit some of our sponsors, Clinch Gear, and Tom has also put up a Recruiting Central page right now. It's for fans, wrestlers, parents, and coaches. But 2 weeks from now, Tim, we're going to get together and preview the Big Ten, and that's going to be very exciting, I think.
Yeah, this is the best time of the year. That's what at least Kelsey Henderson says that. And that recruiting page that Tom's putting together is off to a great start and definitely going to help grow the sport of wrestling. I feel like it. Recruiting, where it all starts. That's definitely good to see the website going in that direction.
All right, great. So, anything else before we sign off?
I think that's it, Kurt. We'll catch you before they head out to Purdue for Big Ten.
All right, we'll talk to you then. And thanks, everybody, for listening.